Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Scott Hanson. I am a father of twins and inventor of Hush Buddy, a smart nightlight device that lovingly helps to reduce those bedtime tantrums and meltdowns so that kids 2, 3, and 4 get to sleep more quickly and quietly, and usually just the first or second night. And that's really big news because we know that toddlers who get enough sleep become adults who are cognitively and physically healthier as well. So this isn't just something that benefits just a few years and benefits mom and dad being able to get more sleep. It has lifelong benefits for the child as well. So the best way to really explain what Hush Buddy is and how Hush Buddy works is to start by making sure you all have your jammies on, you brushed your teeth, you've had a sip of water, because it's bedtime. And you are 2 going on 3. And like most 2-and-a-half-year-olds, you look forward to bedtime as a time that you can screw with your parents. And tonight, you're ready to go. You're full of it. Except there seems to be something a little bit different. In your room, there is a different glowing nightlight. In this case, our big, ugly prototype over here. And your dad has a new storybook you've never seen before. So, you're all ready, you're tucked in. Let's begin story time. The Hush Buddy story. In a place very near at a time very soon, there lived the Hush Buddies who glow like the moon. In quiet they live, with smiles all around, for their glow comes from silence and dims when there's sound. The book helps to set up for the child the cause and effect of a Hush Buddy. A Hush Buddy glows in quiet. When there's noise, a Hush Buddy dims. And that cause and effect is established in the storybook that is read every night by the parent. And it does something else, too. It establishes Whisper. Whisper is the name of the little character you see there. Whisper, one who's named Whisper, decided to go and find a new place to peacefully glow. Whisper looked for a place that was still in the night, and upon seeing you, thought, this is just right. Whisper picked you, little boy, little girl, to stay with tonight because Whisper knows you can be quiet, and that's what Whisper needs. So with that, we won't read the entire story. The story concludes. Mom and Dad give you a kiss goodnight. They turn off the light. And if you decide you're going to try this out, you're going to go back to your old behavior, this is what happens. Mommy? Daddy? And that, in a nutshell, is how Hush Buddy works. Most kids, you probably can't tell, it doesn't go out, it dims. And just briefly, 2 seconds of silence, it comes back up. Most kids want more light in their room, not less, right? They can have more light, just need to be quiet. So suddenly, there's a cost-benefit analysis that has to happen here. I mean, parents will tell you, you will tell us probably, that right now, there is no cost to that child for just crying for mom and dad to come in. There's no downside to that. Hush Buddy brings in positive reinforcement for doing the right thing. Plus, because of the storybook, Whisper is a very real friend, a very real entity who has come to stay with you. So you have companionship, maybe to take the place of mom and dad who have been hanging out in your room and laying down. So you now have this close friend with you here. All right, so that is how Hush Buddy works. And you might think, sounds great. Does it work? I want you to meet Grayson.
For anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, we'll kind of yell, cry. Love the story. definitely an immediate difference. We have seen some really impressive results with our kids' sleeping habits. Now I feel like he has a better night's sleep, so he's waking up on his own, happy.
I see a few parents in the room who are smiling. Right.
Sure.
So that is.
Where were you 50 years ago?
That's the most popular question we're asked. Where was this X number of years ago? And I want to reinforce that Grayson, what you saw there was the first night using our prototype. It appealed to my sense as a dad of twins that this would work. But, you know, in the real world, first night and those results. So that's what you saw there. So that is how Hush Buddy works. Let's talk about the business side of things. The market, we feel, is 2, 3, and 4-year-olds, families with 2, 3, and 4-year-olds. And probably on the older end of 4-year-old, maybe not so much. We figure there are 4 million children born every year in this country, so we figure our market in totality is 10 million families who meet that sweet spot. We've done research, a survey of 400 plus families, and found that 71% say that they struggle to get their child to sleep at night. 58% of them say they are likely to buy a product that will help their child get to sleep more quickly. Now this is without seeing that video, without actually seeing Hush Buddy. They heard the concept of Hush Buddy, and just from that, said, yeah, I'm on the positive end of buying. Really though, we think that our market is bigger than just those percentages, and here's why. Sleep science today is going crazy with research into toddlers. The toddler years are so important. Parents, if you take nothing else away from this presentation today, make sure that your toddler gets 12 to 14 hours of sleep a night. Because sleep science is finding out that those years are precious. You don't get this chance again. During those years, a toddler's brain is being built. Connections are being forged. And that happens no other time. Once that window closes, it's closed. And what they're finding is that children who do not get enough sleep at that age suffer just a few years later, focus problems, behavior problems in school, even physical problems like diabetes and obesity increase among children who don't get 12 to 14 hours of sleep as toddlers. And the physical thing, the obesity thing kind of, I was curious about that. What could the connection be? What they think is that during that time, your sense of self-control, that those pathways are being forged. So a child that doesn't have those fully formed cognitive abilities, they make poor food choices later on in life. So we think that really our market is anyone who looks at their toddler and says, I want them to be a doctor if they want to be. I want them to be an astronaut if they want to be. I want them to have every opportunity available to them. So here is our plan. We are currently finalizing final product designs. I mentioned this is our big ugly prototype. You don't put a lot into making that look like a finished product. This is probably more like what a Hush Buddy will look like, or about this size, right here, with just one button control. It can behave just like a nightlight, or it can react to sound. That's pretty much it. So that is the design that we're looking at. We're finalizing the product design right now. We're looking at crowdfunding through Indiegogo to fund the startup production costs. We are bootstrapping all the way up through product design, but when it comes to actual production, we're looking to crowdfunding for that assistance. Pricing, we're going to price it at $99.95 with a $40 discount for the early orders. All right, so it brings it to $60. Parents will tell you anything you buy for your child these days is $60. And then we'll be able to reduce that discount as we go along and just kind of see exactly where the market says the price is. We're going to be marketing through social media and through mom blogs using video and story selling, things like what you just saw, for example, because we think that that is a very powerful way to convey this message. And then finally, our plan right now is to sell online only. If we don't ever have to go to retail, we won't. But at least initially, just marketing through hushbuddysleep.com. Here's the team. Myself, Scott Hanson. I'm a former TV reporter and video producer, father of twins, as I mentioned. They're 13 now. And then Ed Daniel, who's in the back, he is our Chief Operating Officer. Ed is also the father of two, including a child who had a fairly severe sleep disorder growing up. And I can tell you that is what is the source of Ed's passion about this project, because he's been there in those trenches and knows the impact that this can have. As a plus, besides all that passion, he has an MBA and a degree in electrical engineering. So that's very useful as well. So our challenge, though, is that while we're two smart guys, we're inexperienced at actually taking a product to market. And that means there could be mistakes that we don't even know we're making. So that is one challenge that we understand and we face, and that we are relying a lot on the expertise of others that we have found to be able to make sure that we're not making any missteps. And I have to say, knock on wood, we've been very fortunate so far that we've walked this walk pretty efficiently. Also, building our network with competent and experienced partners. We just want to know anyone who's out there in our sphere who might be able to give us some guidance and some assistance with this, and from a marketing and a manufacturing standpoint, to know that we're picking good partners right out of the chute. I understand it's kind of common to change manufacturers as you go through a process. We'd like to do that as little as possible if we can just make that choice correctly the first time. All right, so here is our ask to you. First of all, do you have any advice that you might be able to give us on best practices for crowdfunding? For our upcoming crowdfunding event. I'll say specifically an issue that we have is, as we're coming up here on the end of the year, the question is, do we get it in during, when we're competing with the holidays? Do we wait till after the first of the year when everybody's getting their credit card bill? I mean, what do we do there? So some insight on that is something that we wrestle with. Second, a connection with a potential accelerator program that might be able to help us with our speed to market. Third, we need a well-rounded, hands-on marketing partner. Somebody who knows what message we need to have out on social media and puts it there. And engages that community, because it's a very dynamic, we need to be having conversations on mom blogs and our social media, and we really want it to be a lively community that we put together. We're looking at a potential investor in the 150K range as nice to have as a plan B should crowdfunding not necessarily get us where we need to go, or if crowdfunding blows up and we need even more to really get to that place to be able to meet those orders quickly. And then finally, feedback on this message that you've just heard. I mean, are you going to leave here today and either tell a parent you got to hear about this thing, you need one of these, or we need one of these, I've already heard that from some folks here, or are you going to go tell somebody you should meet these two guys I just saw this morning, they're going to be rich beyond belief pretty soon. So just feedback on how we did at conveying the message of Hush Buddy. So with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to any of your questions.
How did you focus that? You said you're refining your product there. How did you do that? Did you ask the kids or did you ask the parents?
Ask the parents. Because with the 2, 3, and 4, the parents, we have a lot of faith in the parents just knowing their kids so well. That they really understand what's going on there. And our test moms have been outstanding. Just outstanding. And we didn't go easy on the testing of this. We tested this with 5 families, 6 kids. All right, so 6 kids. There were 2 kids who were put together in a room and they were, talking all night long. First night, silent. The mom's texting us like, I don't know when they went to sleep. I don't want to go in there. It's quiet, And probably our most severe case was a 3.5-year-old boy who, every night of his life, he'd been rocked to sleep. It would take him 2 hours to put him down. And it would rock him to sleep, put him to bed, and kind of try to get out of the room. And then invariably he would come and find them in the middle of the night too. I mean, that's a sleep disorder, sleep onset association disorder is what it's called. We weren't sure that it was really going to do anything for him. By the end of the week, we asked the mom, and she said, a couple nights in, she's putting him in bed, reading the story, turning off the light, leaving the room. And he would say goodnight to Whisper, bye to Whisper before we go to preschool the next day.
So which one was it?
The prototype. Yeah, the big ugly one there.
don't think he's so ugly.
Well, thank you. You know-
I actually prefer him over the other one just because his facial features.
Well, that's
Oh,
why I asked.
yeah, I should be clear. There's no face on this one yet. It's just, we literally got this week from our designer just to check it out. It's just a 3D printed prototype. Yeah, so no
But I like
face.
the color of this one.
The
That
amber.
yellow is so bright.
Yeah. It needs to be amber. Now,
Exciting.
that's the science behind it too, because I gotta tell you too, a lot of the stuff that you see on the shelf out there for night lights or any kid's soothing product, you know, that they put stars on the ceiling and they play music and things like that. They're very stimulative.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have blue LEDs in them a lot of times. Now, blue is a color that decreases production of melatonin, exactly, which is the sleep hormone. So amber, that's why your smartphone changes to amber at night. That's why. And so amber is the color of the light that's going to be coming off of Whisper. Whisper is going to stay on all night because if a lot of these night lights and things, they turn off after 30 minutes to save battery power. He's going to be plugged in because he needs to stay on consistently. If you're a child, in a child's mind, you wake up in the middle of the night, got my bear, got my blanket, the light's off, the music's gone, something's different, that's disruptive. So you want to have a consistent sleep. This whole thing has been put together with sleep science behind it. It is a smart, science-based approach. Did I answer your question, or did I get off?
You
get off
did.
track? Okay, very good. Yes.
Have you thought about making this like mobile, so for kids that have to go to the bathroom at night?
Yes, we don't want that. Well, we don't want that to happen. We want them to go to the bathroom at night. Yes, but we don't want them to take Whisper with them because, and this is a design challenge that we had that you've hit on. Whisper's a tool, not a toy. All right, so we need to be very careful as we've designed it to do something that is the opposite of what most designers intend to do. They want to make a product that is attractive and feature-rich and all this kind of stuff. It can't be that way because we have one designer who said, well, maybe we could have it where it docks and they could carry Whisper with them through the house. Well, Whisper becomes a toy, and you don't want to leave your child in the room with a toy. It's just got to be a sleep-related device. So we've had to resist, and that even includes any related marketing materials. You know, you might think, well, great, we're going to make some plush toys that that look like Whisper and things like that. Can't make Whisper a toy. Maybe some pajamas or some bedwear or something like that, pillowcases and things would be safe, but not anything that is stimulating to them. So great question.
Scott?
Yeah.
How did you come up with the price point? Now, let me preface this by saying, what if I have more than one kid that sleep in separate rooms? Now I need 4 different $99 Whispers. How did you come up? How much does it cost you to make this Whisper? And your markup is what?
We're still finding out because we're still in the design stage. So we don't have to the letter what the price production price is.
Okay.
It is value-based marketing. I mean, it's value-based pricing because what is the value of that sleep?
Yeah, but if I don't have, again, I have 4 kids, 4 different rooms. Are you gonna pile them all up in one room, or
Yep.
put them to bed at different times? Put them to bed at different times. Good idea. That's a good idea. I'm just worried about the price point factor when I'm talking about multiple kids.
I think a real good idea in that is order one this. If you order 2, you get a discount for
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's excellent. That's good feedback. Yes.
So I have the fortunate benefit of having from a 2-year-old twin boys right now.
Congratulations. You're great.
And they are capable of doing things you would never imagine. So how do you prevent them from pushing that button so that the night light stays
Right.
on consistent?
It's going to be designed to be hidden and not real obvious.
It's going to be real hidden.
Oh, I know, because
Tear
one
up a room.
time
Knock over a dresser.
Yeah.
2 of them together with the door closed can.
a designer had suggested one time that it just be a click. No, kid will see
Yeah.
that and know how to do that. It needs to be something very, very much like.
Don't make it parent-proof either.
Well, right. It's like, good night whisper, and you kind of like tap at the magic spot, the magic conductive switch it and set it. The only reason that we have that switch in the first place is we think that parents wouldn't want it dimming and while they're reading a story, for example. You want to be able to not have that kind of distraction. But maybe you don't have to. I mean, you could just be there and you're speaking very, very quietly to your child. So it's not something you'd have to use at all, but we think that having that defeat switch where it's listening, not listening, but we understand it does need to be hidden.
Or a
Well,
Yeah, like a fob or something would probably be a good idea, because
What about a phone?
they're a lot smarter when it comes to technology than
yeah.
you would even.
Well, and any phone app opens up the door to a lot of different things because you have a connectivity issue and then you have a security and like, wait a minute, where are you putting my kid's room? It's connected to what? And also then you're bringing that glowing device out into your child's room at night. Some parents might like, hey, watch this. And it's also something very attractive to the child. Like, what do you do on your phone? Those.
But
I
as
noticed.
the gentleman mentioned up front, you could also do like a fob or something that as well.
Yeah.
Just like the.
Like an IR, kind of,
Yeah.
infrared. Good point. Yes, I'm sorry, in the back.
Is there potentially an issue with a reliance on light as they get older?
Anything's possible, but this is one of those things where, as the child enters post-critical thinking, where there's a reevaluation going on in their life of Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, at that point, Whisper will become a nightlight. A beloved nightlight, nobody's going to give this away because it's just going to be, a beloved fixture from their childhood. But the level of light is no different than you have a regular nightlight these days. It's not exceptionally bright. In fact, if you can read by it, it's too bright, is what sleep scientists tell us. So it's the same level of light as a regular nightlight, as long as they're quiet. And then it dims down to about 20%. That's all. So, I mean, time will tell if I'm wrong about that, but we've asked that question, and that's the indication we have. I'm sorry, right over here.
Any competition in the market? Any competition?
No, in that.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet is always the right answer to that question. Here's the closest thing that we have. There are night lights, and any parents in here use the night lights that change color. This is intended for a child who gets up too early in the morning. They come out of their bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm ready. So there are alarm clocks that stay red if it's too early, and when it turns green, it's okay to get out of bed. All right, so it trains them on the morning end of things. And in fact, one of our test moms had used it. She sent it back because she said that her son didn't care. It's just, why do I have to obey a clock? There was no connection to it like our story does with Whisper. So that's the closest we come to a device that is a sleep training behavior modification device. Everything else out there is, like I say, the soothers with the lights and the music and white noise machines.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, because I had friends from England that they have this clock that they call the Grow clock. And basically the Grow clock has, so at nighttime what happens is you click the button on the star, and then it counts a certain number of stars around the edge, and then it kind of slowly disappears. It's time to get up.
Oh, okay.
So they know to hit the clock at night, that means it's time for bed, and then when the stars go away, it turns to a sun, and then they know it's time to get up. So that's why I was going to ask you if you had something to do with the other side of the early mornings. Because I usually, I have 4 kids, 3 that were 4 and under at the same time. They sleep in the same room. And the Grow clock worked for the most part, for the 2 older ones.
Okay.
The younger one, she's just turned 2. And I mean, she's going to touch the clock for sure.
Yeah.
And she has touched the clock, and then they come down and tell me, oh, she touched the clock. I'm like upstairs, I'm like, don't touch the clock. And, when you're like, I'm putting the clock like way up in the corner of the room in some contraption so they can't reach the clock, and then she pulls the plug to try to pull the clock down. So I was thinking about, I think number one, this is a great idea. I think the story piece connected to the clock is definitely critical. I've seen that with my own kids.
Elf on a Shelf uses that approach.
Yeah, it's definitely, but I think on the other side, have you given any thought to the morning piece?
where maybe it changes color in the, we've
Right,
talked about
something
that.
with the story that says, there's a story to go to bed, there's a story to wake up. and-
We've talked about that as probably version 2.0 of something maybe in the morning that replicates that solution, when Whisper turns green or, indicates it's okay for morning. But you also bring up another good point with the story. The nice thing about the story is that it allows us to, as we listen to the community and people say, here's the problem I have. For instance, a real common problem is they come into my room at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
They come and find me, right? If we've all been, what sleep doctors will tell you is that is an indication of a child who struggles getting themselves to sleep. If they wake up and there's nothing different in their room, there's no reason they shouldn't just go right back to sleep.
Right.
So oftentimes they're coming to find mom or dad because mom or dad are there scratching their back to get them to sleep. They think, I need to go back to sleep. I need that back rub. And they come in. So, and what we've seen with this is two things. One is we have one child who, he was 2 years old and he would get up in the middle of the night, use the bathroom, and then go find his mom and dad. First night with Whisper, and every night that week, he went back to his room because Whisper was there. Whisper was there, right. So he had Whisper instead. So he associated Whisper with bedtime instead of mom and dad, and it was funny that it was that quick. The other thing we've heard from parents is 1:30 in the morning, he'd come in like clockwork. But with Whisper, it was 3:30. And when that 1:30 waking happened, it happened, then went back to sleep. So it was kind of evaporating away.
Right.
Still, though, that allows us an opportunity to find these other problems and come up with a different book that addresses that problem. So we write a story that reinforces with the child, don't leave Whisper, stay with Whisper tonight. And any other problems like that, almost like a prescription. You have this problem, here, read this book, it should help with it. And we're leveraging that powerful imagination that the child has so that they get that better sleep that everybody needs, and you do too.
And you thought about even with nap times as well, potentially?
Well, I mean, it would behave, how so? You mean for a story for that?
Because I know with the Whisper story now, it's nighttime, it's like the moon.
Yeah.
Versus like nap time. I think there's also an opportunity there.
Oh, for a bedtime, or for a nap time book?
Exactly.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, make a note of that, Ed, that's good.
The last thing I wanted to say to some of your questions was about with the price point that you asked in the crowdfunding piece. Did you get any feedback from those test moms about the price point and what their feelings were?
Yeah, it was interesting. Remember I mentioned the 400 that we surveyed early on? They just had a description of it. They didn't actually see the product. And that's about where they put it, was the $50, $60 range. The moms who lived with it for a week, they moved it up. Yeah. I mean, we had some that were like, you're going to charge like $225 for this, aren't you? No, we want people to be able to afford it and buy it, because this is really, really beneficial to families and to kids. But they were the ones. It was just interesting, their experience too. Like I learned. I should point out that this, besides this, we have a key piece of this is also the instructions that we have for the parents. And this isn't just plug in the light and this really teaches the parents things that they need to know as one good structure, good strategy. What do you do if you leave and the child does continue to cry, or the child leaves the room at night? Here are strategies to deal with that. Because, I'm telling you, as the father of twins, I found mistakes in researching this that I had no idea I was making. You think, I don't want to get the child upset at bedtime because that's the opposite of sleep. I'm moving them away from sleep. I'll do whatever. And it gets to the point where with mine, I had one that I would take him for a drive at night. He'd fall asleep in his car seat every time. Like, go for a little drive. And that's ridiculous now that I look back on it, right? Knocked him out. You get desperate. Right, you get desperate, and that's the kind of stuff that you end up doing. Well, now, I know what I should have done instead. He had every ability to self-bed, exactly. And now, but I just didn't have those tools. We provide those as well. So it's really a belt and suspenders approach. There's this device that helps with the calculation that kids have to do, but also parents learn behaviors that they have that are not helping the child.
Great points.
Scott, can I?
Yes,
I just
Ed.
want to add something on the pricing. One of the things that we want to do is we'd like to manufacture domestically. So that's part of our price consideration, you know, for that $99 price point. There's some things, one, you just can't source locally, but
Right.
our whole idea is let's try to put some people back to work. Let's try to get people jobs here. So that's really why our price, another reason our price point is where it's at. I mean, we may have to go into some sort of hybrid strategy where we're sourcing offshore, but manufacturing and assembling here. We don't know what that looks like yet, but we're kind of going through that process. But our whole philosophy is we want to try to have everyone benefit, whoever touches this product, whether it's the child that uses it, the parent that uses it, or whether the people that make it. That's another price point consideration. So.
And another consideration of that is we don't want the Chinese dog food kind of situation. We
Yeah,
want to make sure the
exactly.
materials are safe,
Safety
and built
standards.
safely. And we want to be able to go and eyeball where it's being built.
Right.
You see?
We're talking a lot about some manufacturing things that you're trying to work out. I don't know if you're familiar, there's an organization in North Carolina called the Manufacturing Solutions Center. It's in Conover, North Carolina.
Oh.
It's a partnership between the town of Conover and Catawba Valley Community College. And what they do is they do everything from product testing, all kinds of things to assist. And they also can connect you with manufacturers. They do have a couple of conditions, like they really want you to stay in North Carolina for a period of time and things like that. But it's a nonprofit organization there to help you get started and to get through some manufacturing.
And that is why we come to 1 million cups. That is why we come to 1 million
It's
cups.
in Catawba Valley, but they're very good about that. The other thing is, I truly understand why you're marketing parents, because you're gonna have people like Sebastian who are ready to pull out his remaining hairs, and he's going to pay pretty much anything to get his child to sleep. But don't forget about grandparents, because in today's world, a lot of grandparents have taken over either temporary or permanent parenting and daycares. Because a lot of daycares, especially taking back to what Sebastian said about the nap time, that would pair very nicely.
Oh,
with-
yeah, right about the daycare, and with the grandparent, it's a gift for two loved ones. It's for their grandchild, but also their child. You know,
Yes,
basically.
yes, it is.
Grandparents have this insight that, like, I'm sure my mother would have looked like, you're driving him around at night, that's insane, and would have seen it, and I didn't. Another resource that we think is a good one is hospitals, children's hospitals, because if you've ever had a child in a hospital.
Very comforting.
Very comforting, and when they leave the hospital, they're all discombobulated. I mean, they're just off their pattern and everything. So this would be a way of getting them back on track.
But I would really target in on daycares that offer the evening services for parents who work second shift.
Oh,
third shift,
good.
Because they're gonna, even if you're not ready for the nap time, that's gonna be a group that can really use your.
And also, a lot of times, maybe they're napping sort of in the same room, so you have that issue of kids
Yes.
talking. That's a great idea.
When can I pre-order?
When can you pre-order? I love that question.
I
That's
have a
question.
grand niece.
Hushbuddysleep.com.
Okay.
All right. Up at the top, there's a button that says pre-order. You don't have to put in a credit card or anything. Just name and email address. And actually, if you do it today, what's today? Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow night, we're drawing for a free one. And your name will be on the list, all right? Yeah. And I know that some people might be watching this online recorded. This is November 8th. So we're drawing it on November 9th, and then after that, we'll be drawing.
No need to do that, just send it to Michelle.
Just send it to Michelle.
She always wins.
She'll send it to the winner, I'm sure. Sorry, way in the back.
I have a question. Have you done any research on how it works with children on the autism spectrum?
No,
That's what I was
no,
gonna ask.
we
Because it sounds
haven't.
like it was something that would be really, really good, because I have two on the autism spectrum, and getting them to sleep at night can be a challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I think that's a great, and at the last 1 Million Cups, we had a resource pointed out to us with an association up in the Raleigh area that deals with autistic children, and that they might like to confer with us on some ideas about that. But I'm with you. My sense is that would be a very good
I think it would be
tool.
an excellent tool for children on the spectrum.
Yeah.
What about the children like my nephew, who fall asleep to weird things, like the sound of a fan?
Yeah.
Not the cooling of the room.
Yeah. A white
You
noise.
know,
Yeah.
So it's like.
Grayson had a white noise machine.
Later incorporate
Yeah.
certain sounds, because I also have a niece. If you take her outside, she falls asleep to the sound of crickets.
Oh. With me, it's tennis. Put on a tennis game. Or golf, do the same thing. Yeah. All right, so you raise a good point. A feature that we have some of these, one of the knobs here says sensitivity, forget about that, that doesn't do anything anymore. We set a baseline for ambient sound in the room with software. So we tell parents, as soon as you get the thing, turn on everything that's on in the room when they go to bed. Turn on the ceiling fan, because that makes more noise than you think it does. Turn on the white noise machine. If you have a little radio playing music, turn it on, and then turn on Hush Buddy. And the first thing Hush Buddy does is it listens for 3 seconds, says, all right, that's what the set room sounds like. It blinks 3 times and says, boom, boom, I'm calibrated. So any noise a certain level above that is what triggers it then. Yeah, so a white noise machine, like I said, Grayson had one, didn't bother it. Yes?
So I heard him say that part of the reason that the price point is what it is because we want to make it here. So is there any patent or anything on this where somebody who doesn't care about making it here can go make it for a third of the price in China and bring it back?
We have an excellent question. I should have touched on that earlier. We have a patent pending right now. We have applied, and actually probably in the next couple of months we'll have it. We've had one, what's called an office action, where they kick back something, say a little similar, but just one. So, I mean, we're really closing in on finished patent protection, and we just recently filed what's called a PCT internationally as well for protection there. One key thing, I mean, everything these days, let's face it, gets knocked off, right?
Yeah.
One thing that we have going for us, though, while they might be able to make the device and fairly simple programming stuff, one thing that
It's a book.
exactly.
Resources.
Yeah, yeah.
But at some point, you're going to be selling those books separately.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you go on Amazon, you'll see buy the book from them and then buy the device from us.
Yeah, and we understand that we're going to need to have at some point in our messaging campaign, should this really become an issue, and all I have to point out to families is safety. I mean, you're putting this in your child's room at night. They're sleeping in off-gassing if it's coming from who knows where, So just to let them know, made in America, made with care about the safety of your child, and you can't necessarily guarantee it if you see a knockoff at a certain price point.
Just for your question about marketing partners, there's 3 different groups I was thinking. Number 1 was pediatricians. We thought about pediatricians who may come to know, because that's how my friends in England found out about the grow clock. They took their son in. Yeah. He had a really weird disease, but they also mentioned that he was having trouble sleeping and staying in his bed in the morning and stuff like that, so they recommended it. The second one was things like care.com, where a lot of moms are already looking for either things to deal with having a live-in nanny or someone to come in for certain periods of time. They're always on that kind of a website. Anyway, and then the third group was people who are really into health because of some of the propositions that you're kind of selling in the value base, which is that this is going to protect them from obesity, things like that. So families who are already, my family is completely plant-based. So my kids, obviously we're about health. So when you start selling that as well, it's like, oh, well, this is, something to add to nutrition and whatever else you're trying to do to help your kids live a healthy life. Here's a way to master sleep, in that space as well.
Yeah, and especially the last one that you've hit on there. I love those first 2 ideas too. Thank you. And Ed's making notes in the back as we speak. The last one, moms isn't just one marketing group. There are subgroups.
That's right.
Right. And we know of the 5 major groups that there are 3 that are especially going to be attracted to this fairly early on. And they are and one of those groups is very educated into, like the thing I told you about the blue light and the amber light and all that. Oh, they've known that for years. Yeah. They're on top of all this kind of stuff. So that's the message that will really resonate with that particular subset of a market.
And you just reminded me of another one, is homeschooling.
Oh, really?
There's homeschooling groups, and a lot, because they're very self-educated in terms of what they're trying to do in homeschooling your kids.
Yeah.
Their education is usually more well-rounded, and the curriculums in the groups where they get together to take their tests and to do things like that.
There's a community that.
So it will easily go viral within that space as well.
Excellent. You got that? You capture that too?
Oh, yeah, no,
Yes, I'm sorry.
So, like I said, I'm using my family as a base for all this.
That's good.
Yeah.
Drop my nephew off at my dad's house. My dad's a snorer. He doesn't have a separate room for my nephew.
Oh, okay. And he snored.
Oh, yeah.
You may have stumped Whisper.
Yeah, we.
You may have stumped
We
Whisper.
have to reset the sensitivity after the snooze clock.
Yeah.
Or after the snore clock.
Well, it's snoring while the sensitivity is being
My
set.
stepdad's house, I'm blessed with two whole families there.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta be careful,
Yeah,
don't be trying to start doing everything for everybody.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to solve every problem like
Everybody's
that.
not your client.
Like
Right.
slightly off his bed, so his snore travels through the vents, and that goes through the entire house.
Yeah, it's and there's some subsets that we, for instance, if you have a child who legitimately has a phobia of the dark,
Yeah.
we tell people, right, yes, no, this, you don't mess with that. That's a really great fear.
I guess.
That's a real small,
I guess to respond to that is, do you have an easy recalibration?
Yes, just the whole,
You just press that.
turn it on, yeah, just turn it off, turn it back on again, and it recalibrates every time you turn it on. Yeah.
Last comment on the crowd source thing. I would, my recommendation would be to go for more of a direct investor than to do the crowdfunding route.
Okay.
Or if you can bootstrap it and say, get that prototype and start selling that one in the meantime, and maybe set up a membership where people can upgrade, for a lower price. If we came out with a new model, you can replace that, because I heard of a business model like that in India, where they produced a GPS software that was very low level, but because people paid a certain annual fee to use it, they'd say, hey, when we come out with new features and upgrade the maps and everything, you just get it automatically downloaded. So that way, it takes you from the space of, you can still bootstrap it and customer fund it, through that particular model, but you can kind of keep it contained in terms of, because what I've seen with crowdfunding issues is two things. Number one, I had a luggage that I bought that was Bluetooth connected to my phone.
Okay.
So I could weigh it on my phone, I could lock it on my phone. So it was a really cool product. I traveled a lot, so I was like, oh yeah, I love this. But then we have production delays.
Yeah.
And then, we finally got it. Oh, there was a bug, so we're gonna send you a new one. And then I'm traveling, so I'm not there to receive the bag, and you have to sign for it. So then they send it there. It was just like, so it could be, with the manufacturing potential limitations of what you want, you really want to get it right the first time. I would use the crowdfunding to scale, but try to do something more customer funded, where you say, hey, look, that model right there, I would buy that as it is right now.
Really?
Absolutely. I think I actually like the bigger one because it's more present.
Yeah.
I feel like that texture of the head actually is a lot softer than the more plastic.
The 3D printed.
Yeah. So I really believe that you can sell that particular product since you're value-based, and with your stories and your narratives behind you, you can set up more of a membership that says, hey, look, we're going to be constantly adding features and innovating this thing. We're in a world of agile and data, right? So Apple puts everything out in beta. Oh, we got this new feature, but it's in beta in small prints. And we're going to fix the software in like 3 years. Right. So I would say customer funded, directly start selling what you have now, and see what your manufacturing costs are for that, and then maybe add some sort of a, subscription or membership fee, or pay in advance model that gives you the capital before you need to build it, and then set it up that way. So her pre-orders and things like that, you get the capital first, design what you can design, and then scale it through the crowdfunding afterwards.
But then you're limiting your revenue without knowing what your costs are.
Well, I'm thinking of the
If
fact
I have
that,
to give away the upgrades, the upgrade might cost me X dollars, but they only pay Y dollars to get the upgrade.
well, I wouldn't charge for the upgrade.
Upgrades, but different books, receive different books.
Yeah, I would charge for the upgrade.
But I like the idea, but we have.
Well, one thing about that book too, don't be giving away the content of that book.
Membership or something.
Don't ever let them see.
Oh, yeah, it's not
the
online or anything like that. It's not like that.
I mean, even in your video, you had that, when she was reading to it, it had that.
It had a line in it, right.
Several of them, I would, that's almost a separate marketing thing, the secret The
secret
we
sauce?
come up with, yeah, the secret sauce, exactly right.
Secret
sauce.
Yeah.
Can't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Don't mind just to get the book.
Scott, I'm gonna take the last question.
Sure.
You should know this one's coming. What can this community do to help you?
Well, in the last 40 minutes, you've done a lot of it right there. I'll drop back again here to the asks. You saw our contact information there. Any of these, and particularly, I'd say if I had to rank these right now, the one that I would place first is actually the marketing partner. I think in the last week, we've been overwhelmed with how much it takes to tend to just a Facebook page and a Twitter feed. You know, I mean, it really is remarkable. And while we know what we want to do, we got other things to do here. And so we're still small enough that we're looking for someone who is a generalist. We understand, you know, when you get big, you need the specialist, but we're still small enough that we need a generalist who isn't in a silo, somebody who can handle editing videos and can look at market segments and can track the traffic and the metric, all that kind of thing.
Yes, that's
I want to
So
mention
that-
too, from my angle, is don't forget to connect with colleges who, they have marketing classes that can take you on as a project. You can get interns that are going to cost you significantly less, that can do the social media piece
Mhm.
without you having to pay a lot of money for that.
Great. That's it, yeah. We've jotted down so many ideas here just today. This is what we love about 1 Minute in Cups. So you know, you did not disappoint. I heard good things about the Fayetteville chapter especially. They said, you're going to Fayetteville, you're going to be pleased. So you certainly lived up to that. So I thank you for your time today. And you know, if you have any other questions, we'll be hanging around in the back. We just as ideas come up and it's bound to happen, drop us an email if you haven't jotted it down. There we are, Scott@hushbuddysleep.com or Ed@hushbuddysleep.com. And love to have that conversation. So,
Thank you.
thank you all very much.